Okay.
Okay, we're going to start on Zion.
All right.
Yovel, we're on Beitzah Zion. Yovule Be'er de Shchuta. Person announced who wants to buy eggs from a live chicken. And then they gave him eggs that were harvested from the inside of a shechted chicken. He didn't want those kind of eggs. He thought he was getting regular eggs. Also a kamed ravami. So it went to a bezdin, wanted his money back. Armelu mekach tosu. It is a mekach tos. And the money goes back. So the Gemara says, Pshita, of course it's a mekach tos. The Gemara says, no. But the same he was also selling, he could have claimed he was selling eggs to eat. The reason why he called them pachya, meaning a live chicken, he was saying, I'm selling them, they're very ripe, ready to eat. And lamai nafkamina, what would be the nafkamina? That rather than reverse the whole sale, perhaps he would get the money back between what regular eggs cost, what the eggs inside a chicken cost. Kamash Malon, that no, it's a complete mechad cost. Number person went around saying, I have fertilized eggs. That means a hen was fertilized by a male. And I'm selling those eggs. The guy eventually purchased, what he gave him was regular eggs, non-fertilized eggs. Also, again, it's a mekach tos. The money goes back. Or it says pshita, of course. Perhaps when he was advertising, it was also just advertising regular eating eggs. The reason why he called them fertilized, perhaps he was just saying, I'm selling fattier eggs. And for example, the judge would award a difference in price between the two types of eggs rather than reverse the whole sale. That no, it's a mekach tos. If you want, I'll tell you that what did the Gemara mean when it said im yitziasa nigmara, when the egg comes out, it's finished. Im yitziasa ruba nigmara. That means if 51% of the egg comes out, erev yontif, and then goes back in, it's considered if it was born erev yontif, you'd be able to eat it on yontif, if it laid it on yontif. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, Beitzah sheyatsa ruba me'erev yontif, chazru muteres lachla b'yontif. If 51% of the egg came out erev yontif, it went back into the chicken, and then laid it on yontif, it's considered as if it was already laid the day before. The ikidiyam, other people say, Mayim yitzias nigmara, meaning im yitzias kula nigmara, not like Rav Yochanan, that in order for it to be considered laid, it completely has to come out. Im yitzias kula in, aval ruba lo lafukim Rav Yochanan, to show that we don't paskin like Rav Yochanan. Okay, gufa. You shechted a chicken, and inside the chicken, you found finished eggs. So those eggs are not considered part of the flesh of the animal. It's considered like a regular egg. And therefore, mutaras lachlan b'chalav, you can eat them with milk. They're not fleshing. Rabbi Yaakov qualifies. Rabbi Yaakov Omer, im hayu me'uris begidin, if it was like still connected to the ovary, asuros, then it's still, the egg would also be considered fleshing. So the Gemara says, man tan alahad tan rabbanon. And who then is the author of the following brayso? To tan rabbanon, ha'oichel miniv lasof tor, you have a bird, a kosher bird, that was killed by a bow and arrow. So it's an avela. Not allowed to eat it. Not only that, if you eat it, you become tameh. But you have to eat from the basar of the bird. So min ashlal shel beitzim, if you ate from they're still connected. Rashi says, kvushin ushrulin ukvuin b'shedra. They're still connected like to the spinal cord of the animal. It's mu'urin begidin. Or minat samos, or you eat from the bone of the bird. Minagidin, from the tendons. Minabasar shenitlash minachai, or meat that already was detached from the live bird. So in all those cases, he really didn't eat from the basar of the chicken, or excuse me, of the nevela of the oath, and therefore he's not tomei. Mina eshkol shel beitzim. But if he eats from the meat that the eggs are attached to, mina kurkavin, from the gurgul, b'nei me'ayin, from the intestines, or sheimchas ha'chelav gmo, or he melted the chelav and drank it. So these are all aspects of the bird that would convey tumah. So who is the Tana that said min ashlal shel beitzim tor, that if you ate from these eggs that were still connected to the gidin, it would not be considered meat? That sounds like not like Rav Yaakov, because Rav Yaakov says you're not allowed. Yeah, Rav Yaakov is the one who said you can't eat it with milk. Mashma, it is meat. So if it's meat, it would make you tummy. So the Gemara wants to say this price is not like Rav Yaakov. The Rav Yaakov Amar Mayumuris begidin asuras with, you couldn't eat it with milk. Mashma, that it's basar, and therefore would convey tumah. Amalei Abaya mimai. The Gemara Abaya says you have no proof. Dilmad kan lakam Rav Yaakov Hasam. Over there, he said you can't eat it with milk. Linyan isura. Ava linyan tumalo. But to go so far to say that these beitzim are considered part of the Tana Goylas to make you tomei, he wouldn't say that. And the chitem linyan tumah nami nigzer, maybe he would make a gzeira regarding tumah. Or says no, because that's afushe tumah. That is ribui tumah. That's spreading and increasing tumah. Vafushi tumah rabbanon lo mafshin. Chachamim did not make zeiras that would increase tumah. Now, that's one way to learn. Who's the one that said that if you eat from the eshkol, which is the basar of the shedra, where the eggs are attached to, that you get tumah? Yes, Rabbi Yaakov. The Omer Mayimuris Begid Nasras. He's the one who said if the eggs are still attached to the flesh, it would be considered like meat. You wouldn't be able to eat those eggs with milk. Omer Le'abaya, Mimai de Eshkol Ma'anach L'Taya Be'Eshkol. Who told you that when it says these eggs are attached to the eshkol, it's part of the Dilma Eshkol Gufi? Maybe it means you don't eat the eggs, you eat the ovary itself. And then that's no raya whether we hold like Rav Yaakov or not. If he eats the ovary, what's the chiddush? That would be like that's like people who eat the intestines or the gurgle. Since there are people that are squeamish, they don't eat the intestines, so they don't eat the gurgle. So we have to have a special chiddush to say no, that if you eat those, it is considered basar. So by the ovary too, we needed a special din to teach me the same thing. The Rabbanan are going to go into a little bit biology. Creatures that have relations in the daytime only, they don't have relations at night, so they give birth in the daytime. Those creatures that have relations only at night only give birth at night. Creatures that have relations day or night can give birth either day or night. And the Gemara gives us examples. Chickens copulate in the daytime, therefore they lay eggs in the daytime. That's a bat. They have relations at night, they only give birth at night. Human being and other creatures that have relations day and night, they give birth no matter when. The chicken is the one that has tashmish in the daytime, only gives birth in the daytime. Now, why do we need to know this? Lich Rav Mary Breder Rav Kahana, for the halach of Rav Mary. Rav Mary Breder Rav Kahana, Bodak Bekina Shatan Agonim Erev Yontif. The farmer checked the nest Erev Yontif, all the way to the right before Yontif. V'lo matzah b'beitza, there was no egg there. The next morning, wakes up very early, and at the first light, finds an egg there. So the Gemara says muteres, because we have this din, our chickens will not lay eggs at night. And it laid it from the day before, and you missed it. And therefore it's a beitza shenol da me'erev yontif, it would be permitted. Afraid the Gemara, what do you mean? He missed it. V'aloi badak, he checked it. Eimer lo badak yafa yafa, he didn't check good enough, so he missed an egg. And vafilu badak yafa, if he checked well, Eimer yatsaruba v'chazar havoy. This is one of those eggs that must have come out and came and 50%, and then went back, and then he laid it. Rav Yochanan. Rav Yosi ben Sholem Rav, badak b'kina shotana goes me'erev yontif. Below matzah b'beitza, if you checked a nest there of yontif, you didn't find an egg. So that goes against what we just said. So, and when do we say that we know for sure it's not going to give birth at night? That's a fertilized egg. There's a rooster around who had relations with the hen, but regular hen, the safna ma'ara, they just give birth. They lay eggs, non-fertilized eggs, and they can be laid at night as well. So it was laid on yontif. That's why it's usher. So Rav Mary nami emi ma'ar de safna. So even Rav Mary's din, if he finds an egg after he checked it the night before, why aren't we worried that it came from a hen that laid it last night because it's not fertilized? And for the Gemara b'deika zacher bado, there's a rooster, a male chicken around, and if there's a male chicken around, a hen's not going to lay unfertilized eggs. Even though there's a rooster around, maybe they'll lay an unfertilized egg. On Ravina, again, there's a biology thing here. If there's a rooster around, the female chicken will not lay eggs, unfertilized eggs. Now, how close does the rooster have to be? Ad kama. On Rav Ganda Mishmei Rav, kol heicha deshama kala biyamama. If you can hear the rooster in the daytime, as opposed to the nighttime, where he could be even further, because sound travels further at night because there's less competing sound. Now, how much is this? Avad Rav Mary uvda ad shisin boti. Rav Mary did an experiment, and it was 60 houses. If there's a river between the rooster and the chicken, you can't rely on this, and the chicken and the egg would be usher because maybe it's an unfertilized egg, because the rooster will not cross a river. However, if there's a bridge across the river, avra, he will. And then in a chanami, you would not be able to eat the egg that you find in the morning, because avra, oh yeah, then he won't. Then you would be able to eat the egg because the rooster would be around, and the chicken will not lay that unfertilized egg. However, if there's just a rope spanning the river, it will not crawl on the rope, lo avra, and therefore you can't rely on the male, and therefore it could be an unfertilized egg. If you find it in the morning, you would not be able to eat it. And even though Havud of Avra Mitzra, even though we have found roosters to cross, that's a lo shchiach thing. Okay, so b'mayu kimta. So one of the cases was set up that when it said if you found an egg in the nest in the morning after you checked it yesterday and you didn't find anything, it's a safna ma'ara egg. It's an unfertilized egg. So the Gemara says, who cares? My area bodak. Kilo badak nami. I mean, even if you didn't check, if it always can be an unfertilized egg, it can lay it at night. So who cares whether you checked? So it's important because kilo badak emem esmalavi could be permitted egg because we didn't check it. Maybe it was there the day before. So well, even if he checked, maybe the egg wasn't there because 51% was laid and then went in, and maybe it'll be kosher, like because it really was laid 51% the day before. So the Rabbi Yochanan lo shchiach. This fact of a chicken laying an egg 51%, that's not a shchiach thing. He gives us another halacha that soaked garlic, just like if you have a glass of water uncovered, we don't drink it because we're worried about a snake putting its venom there. Same thing with garlic. Beis Shammai oimrim so'or b'kazayis. The Mishnah had a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. What is the shear of chametz versus so'or? So'or is starter dough, like sourdough that you use as starter dough to start. It's very, very leavened. So Beis Shammai said, you get kares if you eat a kazayis of so'or, but you need to eat at least a koseves for regular chametz. Beis Hillel said either way was a kazayis. So my tamai to Beis Shammai. Why do Beis Shammai have this chiluk? Because the Torah wrote it says don't eat so'or and don't eat chametz. If according to Beis Shammai, im kein lichtav rachman chametz v'lo boy so'or. The Torah should have just written chametz and not so'or. V'ano amina. And I would have made a kavah chomer. Uma chametz shein chimutza kosher. Regular chametz, it's not very strong leaven. The shear's kazayis. So'or shechimutza kosher l'kol shekei. A starter dough, which is very leavened, super leavened, certainly would be also kazayis. So why did the Torah write so'or because of rachman alamali? Loy melchas shiur shalzeh, lo kashir shalzeh. They have a different shear. So'or is bekazayis and chametz is bekoseves. Beis Hillel says no. The pasuk needed to mention so'or and chametz. Because rachman so'or havim mishum dechimitzu kasha. You know what? You know why it's usher? Because it's very strong. Chametz maybe is not even usher. So tzricha needed to be told there. Because chametz people eat. Mishum deroi lechav. So'or, people don't eat this super leavened thing. Shein roi lachila. Maybe it would not be usher at all. So tzricha needed both mentionings. So the Gemara wants to know: Beis Shammai lesl Rab Zera? Does Beis Shammai not hold of Rab Zera? Rab Zera, pasuk hakasav b'so'or v'siyam b'chametz. The pasuk said so'or lo yimatzei b'vaseichem ki cholochel machmetzes v'nichrasa. So it started with so'or, ended with chametz. Lo melacha zeh so'or v'zeh chametz, implying that the shear is the same. So in fact, the Gemara says regarding eating, Beis Shammai doesn't argue with Beis Hillel. The shear is the same as kazayis. Ki pligelin in biur. We know that there's a chiyuv of biur chametz. You have to destroy the chametz. So what shear does the chiyuv start? Beis Shammai says, if you have a kazayis of so'or, you already have to do biur. But you need a koseves of chametz to do biur. Beis Hillel says both are kazayis. Why? Beis Shammai says lo yalfin and biur ma'achila. Achila is one thing, biur is something else. We don't learn one from the other. Beis Hillel says yalfin and biur ma'achila. You do learn one from the other. Itmar nami amrav yezeh b'chani machlokes linyan biur. The machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel is only the shear that is required for you to be chayv biur. Avalin yachila divrei kol zev zev kazayis. There's a brayso the same way. V'lo yera elacha so'or v'lo yera elacha chametz. Zeh machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai oimrim so'or b'kazayis, b'chametz b'koseves. Beis Hillel oimrim zev zev b'kazayis, exactly like we've been learning. Then the Mishnah talked about if you shecht a chaya, a undomesticated animal like a deer or a bird, so there's a chiyuv of kisui adam. So Ashreichet Chayiv of Beyond Tov, there's a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel whether you can dig dirt and cut because you have to cover the blood. So the word hashoichet, it doesn't say shoichtin lechatchila. It says hashoichet if he did it, which implies dievidin lechatchila lo. But Amos Seifel Beis Hillel oimrim lo yishchot. Michlal Tanakama Sovar Yishchot. So the Mishnah is internally contradictory. So Haloi Kasha, Lo Yishchot v'yichasekam. It means you shouldn't lechatchila shecht and cover. So Aim is Seifa umoidim shim shachat shiach b'bedeka v'yichaser. They both agree that if you shechted, you can dig and cover. Michlal dereisha lachti evidhu. Again, we're back where Reish doesn't seem to be a b'diavad digedim, but rather lechatchila. Amar Rabba Achikam. Ashreichet shabali malech. Shrechet comes to Bezdin to ask a shaila. Keitzad oimer lo. Beishamai oimer lo shchot. He can shecht, chfor, dig, v'chisa, and cover on yontiv. Ubeisemem lo yishchot. Ela in ken haylo afer mucha mibad yom. If he prepared dirt from erev yontiv to cover, then he can shecht l'chatchila. But if he doesn't have the dirt prepared, he cannot dig on yontiv. That's the din. You have to have the dirt prepared from erev yontiv. Now, if he was over and he shechted, if he has a shovel in the ground from already erev yontiv and it's loose dirt where he's not going to do katisha, then he's allowed to dig and cover. And if he doesn't have that, he can shecht and eat and do the kisui motzei achad. Rav Yosef Omer Hachikam. Rav Yosef learns differently than Rabba. Ashreichet shabali malech. Ashreichet comes to ask a shayla. Keitzad omer lo v'shama omer lo lech for dig. Notice the first answer told him to shech then dig. Here they tell him dig, then shech, then cover. So we'll have to explain why Rav Yosef has a different sheet. By the Rav Yosef lema mar. The Rav and Rav Zeir Marav komiflagitu. Are you arguing in Rav and Rav Zeir? The Amar Rav Zeir Marav hashreichet tzarich shitin offer lamata v'offer lamala. Kisui adam requires like a sandwich: dirt from the bottom, then the blood, then dirt on top. So the blood is in a sandwich of dirt. So perhaps that's the machlokas. The reason why Rav Yosef said first chfor is because you need some dirt, and then shecht, and then cover. He doesn't say v'chiso ofar lo nemar ela be'ofar in the dirt. But lamed shashrechet tzarich shitin offer lamad v'offer lamala. Are you telling me Demar Yisrael Rav Zeira that only Rav Yosef holds Rav Zeira because he said chfor first? The Rabbi Leslie Rav Zeira Amalei no. Bein lididi bein Rabbi Yisrael Rav Zeira. We both hold that it needs a sandwich. Rabbi Sover ika offer lamata in ilo lo. If there's dirt below, fine, you can shech. And if not, not. Because we're concerned that if he first does the digging, he'll change his mind. He won't shech. And then he'll have dug for no purpose. He violated yontiv. If you don't permit it, you're going to detract from the simchas yontiv. He's not going to shech the bird. And then umoidim, that if he violated what Beis Hillel said, you can, if you will see the get there when you can cover. The shovel has to be in the ground already from the day before. But when you lift up the dirt, you crushed it, and it's also not malacha on yontiv. Mario, we're not going to go to Daf Ches.
No, okay, hold on.